welcome to Doki Doki Precure. We're going to be talking about this series here at Metanorn. I'm going to do some video reviews for it, and I think Kara is going to join in on some of the, I guess she's going to just leave text stuff on there, so that's good. Have at least a tag partner for nice anyway. Now, first episode was kind of like introduction to the series, setting up, I guess, the world and the villains and everything else with Precure. That's usually the staple of that series. And when we left off in the first episode, Mana just transformed into Cure Heart, and that's kind of where the episode ends, with the two side villains kind of like watching, like, oh wow, what the heck is that, you know, type thing. It's pretty funny, good reactions. And with that, we had Cure Sword captured by this crab monster. It was kind of holding her captive type thing. And Cure Heart eventually saves her, but the way she saves her is kind of funny. You'd think, oh, she just, you know, run at her real fast and beat the crab and all that stuff. But since she's new, she doesn't know her powers very well, so she doesn't know all. You know, Miyuki did it in a Smile. She went to jump and went super high in the air. And this time we had Mana kind of doing the same thing. And granted, they're on this giant tower, so she jumps and kind of like flies through the air and tries to land and kind of doesn't land perfectly, but in the meantime landing she is like dodging everybody when they're trying to punch her. It was funny watching. I tried to hit her and it kept missing. I forget the other girl's name, but it was even funny when she jumped like a backflip and the two side villains punched each other in the face. Like, wow, that's pretty funny. With all that, Mana, or Cure Heart, sorry, I was trying to confuse you too much on that. And when Cure's sword falls off this tower, the crabs fall into, and Mana like saves everyone. And she doesn't really know how to purify the monster thing, but she figures out how. I guess it was kind of weird how she did that. And of course, she wants to be friends with Cure Sword, and Cure Sword's kind of like, no, I don't want to. I don't need a partner. Things like that. I don't need a friend. I guess she's going for the whole solo aspect type thing right now. I don't know how far that will get her, but eventually I think she'll come around. I suspect probably towards the middle of the series, she'll probably like realize that she can't do this mission by herself, so she needs help and needs allies. So, and that's where you bring the other girls in. But that said, the core of the episode is more about Rika, Mana's other friend, or her I guess the only friend right now, her childhood friend. Well, they have the other girl, but anyway, they have a thing with Rika. She thinks Mana is doing way too much at once, and she thinks Mana's hiding something from her. And before they're talking, it was funny. She actually tells her best friend the whole truth. Like, yeah, I transformed. I was a Precure. I was fighting these selfish monsters, and I saved another Precure. And she's kind of like, what? Like, okay, yeah, whatever. Doesn't really believe her, but since they're best friends, she kind of assumes that she's just using that magic story thing as a cover for something else that she's not telling her. So you have that whole thing going on between them, which is kind of nice. They're best friends, so it's, you know, she's not this new kid in town. Which I know a few people have said it's been done before, which is fine. For me, it's new. I mean, at least the whole they're pre-existing friends. I know Smile you had Now and Reika, they were kind of friends, but they didn't really touch more on that too much, except when they were little kids. But yeah, and for Mana, her dynamic with the character, everyone says she seems to be perfect. You know, there's nothing wrong with her. She's the club president. She's helpful. She's happy all the time. Like, no, her problem she has is she doesn't like asking for help. She's independent. She likes doing things her way. So having to ask for help from someone else is quite difficult for her. And she's always doing things by herself. And Rika just tells her, you know, why can't you let me help you once in a while? You're doing way too much at once. And they use a little fairy tale called The Happy Prince, which summarized, I was basically taking it as the king. He's like weighed down by all this gold, and he needs someone to help him spread the money around, the wealth, or something like that. I know it's probably not exactly, but it's what I interpret from it. So Rika wants to be Mana's helper. You know, she wants to help her do things and not rely on Foshizzel all the time. So you have that whole thing with them, which is nice. I mean, it's cool that they do things like that in the Precure. Yes, you know, in the end, it's a kids show, but still, they do know parents are watching, so they are throwing these like little moral lessons in to make things interesting for them. And after all that, we had the monster of the week, which always the fun part of Precure. It's always fun seeing what they make transform into a monster. And this week it's a traffic light, like, because you have this kid, he's kind of like tired of waiting on the light. He's like, oh man, I wish the light would turn green, like that type of thing, at the crosswalk. And Ira's around, kind of like, he hears people being selfish, which get it, because monsters are selfish. So he just wants the light to change for him because he's tired of waiting. So that kind of feeds the monster of the week formula, which for me is different than Smile, because Smile was like, you had the bad characters would show up and they'd put everyone to sleep and everyone would pass out and they'd gather the heart energy or dark energy, whatever you want to call it. But in Doki it's different. They are picking on one person and everyone's still kind of awake. Which you had Rika actually witness her friend turn into a Precure in front of her. Even though Mana was warned by the fairies not to do that, not to tell anyone your secret, she kind of, she's a trusting person, so she's gonna tell everyone. And during the fight, Rika actually comes in handy because the stoplight monster can, I guess, shoot a beam at you and freeze you in place, and you can't do anything until he turns green. So Rika actually sneaks up on the boss creature thing, and I guess on its back it had a button you could push to change the signal, and she pushed it before the monster turned her into stone or froze her, and eventually it reverses the effect and everyone's back to normal, which helps Cure Heart save the day. And at the end it was funny watching how Rika was kind of like making her do all these things now for her, I guess as punishment for keeping that secret from her. And then for some just random fun things, the fairy's face at the end of the episode was just basically a whole like, WTF, why'd you just tell everyone, or tell your best friend the #1 rule of Precure? You don't tell anyone you're a Precure. And we had technically 2 bosses in this. So you had Cure Heart, Purify, the Crab, and the Stoplight monster. Which, yeah, after talking to people on Twitter, it has been done before. It's just really rare when that happens. I just thought it was pretty funny. It was just not 1 boss, but 2 bosses this week. And I think I said this before in the first impressions. The ending song is just, it was addictive to me. I kept playing it over and over again. And this other random side note, just to make it, Ira, if you're a fan of One Piece, you might recognize his voice, because it's Luffy. So for me, that's a highlight every week. Just listen to him spout these evil lines, because like we're so used to him being the good guy and saving everyone and being the cool pirate king wannabe type thing. So it's funny when that happens for me. I find certain actors that play iconic characters and it just sticks with me. Like for me, Sako Kanamato, aka Squid Girl, she will always be Squid Girl or Cure Peace to me. It's just no matter what she does. I guess it's just those type of roles that stand out. I mean, I know some people have I guess say your questions is what I guess you would call it. So for her, it's fun watching her, but she's not in this, so it's also nice to hear all these new voices. So, anyway, the next episode would be about Rika's transformation and how she transforms. And on another random note, I think this is the first time we've had the whole. For me, it's the first time they have the whole. Episode 1 is about main girl transform. Episode 2. Everyone assumed Rika was going to transform, but that's not the case this week. So they're changing stuff up. It's nice to see some new change, even if it's like tiny little small changes. So until episode 3, see you later.